Once upon a time in a faraway meadow, there was a small lamb who lived with her mother and father. Every day she would watch the birds fly by and dream of having a house of her own up in the clouds. But since she was just a little lamb, all she had was her woolly coat and a little pink nose to stick out through the grass. One sunny afternoon, the lamb decided she'd had enough of living with her parents. She wanted her own house, even if it wasn't up in the clouds. So she packed up her things, grabbed her little pink nose, and set off down the path. "I'm going to build myself a super-duper house," she said, trotting along. "It will be the best house in the whole wide world." The little lamb walked and walked until she came to a big, beautiful hill made entirely of soft, squishy mud. "Oh, how perfect!" she exclaimed. "I'll make my house out of mud. It'll be so squishy and fun to live in." And so she started to build. But she hadn't made more than a few small bricks when a wise old turtle ambled past. "Well, hello there," he said with a smile. "What are you doing?" "I'm making a house out of mud," the lamb replied. The turtle shook his head slowly. "My dear child, mud houses may be fun for turtles like me, but they don't last very long. A strong wind or a heavy rainstorm and your house will be washed away." The lamb thought about this for a moment. "You're right," she sighed. "I need something stronger, something made of stone." So she picked up some rocks and started building again. This time she made a nice little entrance with the stone pillars and a pretty archway. But before she could finish, a family of field mice scurried past. "Hey, what's all this then?" squeaked the mother mouse. "I'm making a house out of stone," the lamb replied proudly. The mother mouse shook her head. "A stone house, silly lamb. What you need is something soft and cozy, somewhere you can curl up and feel safe." And with that, she disappeared into a hole in the side of the hill. The lamb thought about this for a moment. "A soft and cozy house," she murmured. "That does sound nice." Just then, she spotted a patch of soft, fluffy moss growing at the top of the hill. "Oh, how perfect!" she cried. Moss would be so soft and cozy to snuggle up inside. And so she started to build again, making a little round cottage with a thatched roof. And when she finished, she was so happy with her creation that she skipped inside and curled up for a little nap. As the sun began to set, the little lamb awoke and peeked outside. In the fading light, her moss house looked beautiful, like a tiny green jewel nestled in the tall grass. Then she heard a loud crash and looked up to see a big, burly ox standing over her house, his horns broken off and his eyes filled with tears. "Oh, dear," said the lamb. "Are you hurt?" "I don't want to be a bother," the ox sighed. "But I've lost my horns in a fight with a wild boar, and I need somewhere safe to sleep while they grow back." "Of course you can stay here," the lamb said warmly. "We can share my house." The ox looked at the little lamb in surprise. "Are you sure? You're such a tiny lamb, and I'm big and strong. I might break your house by accident." The lamb smiled. "Don't worry, we can fix it together." And so the ox joined the lamb in her little moss house, and they spent the night telling stories and singing songs until it was time for bed. The next morning, the lamb woke up feeling happy and peaceful. But when she looked over at the ox, she saw that he had gotten up early and was already outside fixing her broken horn house. He'd made a new roof out of strong branches and woven leaves, and he'd built a sturdy wooden door to keep out the rain. "Oh, thank you," the lamb cried. "It looks even better now. I thought we could use some of these stones to make a fireplace," the ox said with a smile. "Then you won't have to be cold at night." And so they sat together by the fire, eating berries and drinking water from the stream until it was time for the ox to go. He stood up, his horns now grown back and stronger than ever. "Thank you for everything, little lamb," he said. "You're such a kind and generous friend." And with that, he gave her a big lick on the nose and trotted away. The lamb watched him go, feeling happy and warm inside. She knew that even though she didn't have a house up in the clouds, she had something much better, a house full of love and friendship. And every time she looked outside, She saw the beautiful hills and valleys of her home and knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Now, every time the little lamb sees a cloud floating by, she remembers her dream of having a house up in the sky. But now she knows that wherever she is, as long as she has friends and family, she has a home. And so our story ends with the little lamb living happily ever after in her cozy moss house, always remembering the kindness of the big ox and the wisdom of the wise old turtle.